Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Gen Z again and about business. And this article from Fast Company that Geeky sent over that Gen Z wants to collaborate better with their bosses. They don't want to be looked at as employees. They want to be looked at as collaborators.
Well, I think, okay, first of all, this guy is trying to promote his book, by the way, which is what this article's about. But in his opinion, that the leaders of today need to learn how to communicate with Gen Z and refer to it as collaboration instead of being a boss. Because, you know, that doesn't sound as icky and controlling. And I think here, once again, all this is doing is leading into the stereotype that, again, stereotypes are there for a reason.
Yeah.
But a lot of Gen Z do not behave this way.
No, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this because back in my day, it was understood that you go to work for an employer, and unless you were an executive, you were basically just a spoke in a wheel. And even if you are an executive, you're still just a spoke in a wheel, and you weren't there to make friends. You were there to make money, right? And
yeah, but I mean, there's some things we're going to talk about in this article that I do agree with this person on, actually in regards to kind of what you're saying, because I think that if you only look at people as that way, you might miss out on good ideas. Like our son, for example, he was trying for a job around here, which he would have been phenomenal at, but I think they're going to give it to one of their friends who's an older person instead of giving it to him, which is a big mistake, because it's like, in his case, I know for a fact that he thinks outside the box in ways that I wouldn't have thought of that are very good ideas. And they do mention that sometimes they don't want to, these people should be seen and not heard. And it's like, that's necessarily the right way to go about it. We're going to talk about it, but yes.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. Before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
Wow, that was a different woohoo. That was a happy woohoo.
Yeah.
Haven't heard that one in a while.
I'm happy, just not on videos. No, I'm kidding.
Go out to more.clownfishtv.com. That's more.clownfishtv.com. You can get more content and help support the reef over there. We're putting content over there, especially going into 2026, that you will not find on YouTube. So this is coming from Fast Company, the Gen Z playbook, what leaders need to know to collaborate better with them. From the first interview to working together, Gen Z collaboration needs an overhaul.
Yeah, well, first of all, your big problem there is you're referring to it as collaboration and not, employee relations.
Yeah.
That's one part of it.
And also remember that the person writing this article is putting out a book.
Yes, Tim Elmore, 5 key insights from his book. The future begins with Z, 9 strategies to lead Generation Z as they disrupt the workplace.
If they can get a job in the first place. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but we've done other videos. And here's where it's like Schrodinger's Gen Z, right? Like, you've got, on one hand, they want to be homesteaders and they want to be more traditional and want to be more conservative. On the other hand, they're the wokest generation ever. On one hand, they're not able to find work and everybody's firing them. But on the other hand, everybody should hire them because you know what I'm saying?
That's I know it is. It's true, because this is about using it as, a clickbait thing. For us, our kids are Gen Z. So we're coming, and their friends are Gen Z. So we're coming at this as people who are parents. I worked with Gen Z as a teacher, so I've seen different aspects of it. And I do think that while, yes, you have your extreme examples, I think a lot of it is just painting everyone with a broad brush, which I don't think is necessarily fair. And I think this article and his ideas, some of them I think are just downright stupid. But other ones, I'm like, no, wait a minute, that has some merit. So we're going to talk about it.
All right. So this is just like, he's a Fortune 500 speaker. Leaders are scratching their heads over Gen Z. The old playbook doesn't work anymore, but figuring out how to engage and collaborate with this generation is what turns good leaders into great ones. So basically,
it will work. It will work. It's just not for everyone.
He's stroking the boomer's ego. If you can only figure out how to get through to the kids, the youngins, you'll be the bestest boomer boss ever. You'll be this is like Bob Iger, right? Like, I think he listened to bad advice because he was so like, oh, I'm going to be the hip and progressive, and then it bit him in the ass.
Well, I was thinking, like, even millennials a few years ago, they were talking about, we saw the same articles about millennials just a few years ago, and about how to talk to them, how to get them to work and everything else. And I think it's been the same way generationally. When we were kids and we were the Gen X, we were the slackers, and they were all trying to figure out how to make us work and everything else too. And we were just raised to question everything. And I think the kids today on Gen Z are the same thing because they were raised by us, so they're questioning everything. I think they're skewing everyone. I think they're pigeonholing, and they shouldn't be.
This is okay.
The Peter Pan paradox, yeah.
Yeah. So this guy is definitely a boomer. He said the eight.
Yeah.
My
he's
God.
not a boomer. He's trying to, I don't know. I think it's one of those people that muddy their waters to appear deep. Like, yeah. I'm going to make it very convoluted and confusing by putting things like the Peter Pan paradox and stuff like that in there to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about.
But they said they basically don't want to grow up, but they also know what they're doing.
Hey, I can't say anything. I collect toys. My wardrobe looks like the wardrobe of a 12-year-old girl from 1984. You know, it's like,
people are really like, Neon, what the hell is going on? Do we need to look at your browser history? What is going on? No. The age of authority is decreasing. Gen Z often come with an authority that doesn't require a title. No. I would say a lot of younger people, whether it's Gen Z, millennials, or even Gen X before them, when they come into the workplace, they think they know everything because they're fresh out of school.
Yes.
And then they find out after a couple of years of working that like those ideas sound good on paper, but a lot of times they don't work, or you can't blow in like a hurricane into somebody else's company and be like, you're going to change everything because I said so. Companies have done that for the last 8 or 10 years now. They've listened to people that have blown in there and been like, you need to change everything. Your demographic, everything needs to change. Change it all, guys. Change everything. Change your logo.
You need to lead left, and you need to be all about causes and everything else. And look how that got. Well, look where that got these companies.
Right. And look what happened. So that's why
this isn't new. Like you said, Gen X was doing it.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of activists back in the 90s. Oh my gosh. Not as bad as today, but it was called PC culture for a reason. Gen X, millennials, and now Gen Z. This is not, like you said, this is not new. You usually get these people out of school. They're just young and excited. And then they come in and realize really quick that maybe they don't know everything. So
maybe they don't know everything.
It's completely true.
They said they're intuitive about using AI. They see where culture's going. They know how to monetize social media, and so do we. And they have visibility on future customers.
But here's the thing, they know how the culture is going. They can see where it's going. You mean like where they told everyone that if you didn't like certain shows, you were a bigot Nazi, and then they were telling everybody that you had to double down on causes, and like Coca-Cola with their training, the DEI stuff, all that crap. That was these guys pushing it, but they know where culture's headed. I don't think so necessarily. I think they do. But they also thought that diversity and inclusion only existed since 2014, when that clearly was not the case, because they weren't around before that. They only can see it through their lens.
They can only see it through TikTok. The pandemic delayed their growth. Their social and emotional skills are delayed. Employers are saying 26 is the new 18. Almost 1 in 3 employers fire them in the first month. So how should leaders respond? Well, I'm telling you what I'm seeing going on. And I think AI, again, is being used as a cover story. Mm-hmm. But what I'm seeing is that they are firing a lot of younger people. They're not hiring them in the first place. And this is very, very different from, I remember about 10, 15 years ago.
I was thinking it.
In tech, especially, once you hit 30, 35 years old, you are old. You need to be put out to pasture. Nobody would hire you. And I know this firsthand because I got laid off when I was in my 30s. I'm like, oh my God, I'm too old to work in tech anymore. Now they're begging for people that are over 50, some of them over 60 to bring them back.
I remember when you got laid off, you were even saying to me, you're like, this doesn't make any sense because people that are older, they're getting rid of them, but they might not be up on the new, everything that's new, but that's why you have younger people to help, to work with you on it. But it's like, but they know how to get it done. And, and that was before we had the Gen Z people come in. This is back when it was millennials. And, now I like Gen X, we're the slackers. I think Gen Z is basically considered the slackers too. And they're going back to the older people.
Yeah. Because they need people that actually have experience that can actually get it done. And even if they don't know all the details of it, I mean, that's the thing about being a manager is you might not know the nitty gritty of how everything works, but you still need to know enough. So, what is reasonable and timelines that are reasonable. And also so you don't get hosed because a lot of employees will tell you something that's just not true to buy. Well, they don't know anything about, whatever project. So I'm just going to tell them, oh yeah, it's going to take me 6 months. And it's like, no, bitch. I did that. It's going to take you like 6 weeks, So that's another thing too. But, it's just like, it's crazy. 26 is the new 18. I was running departments, but we were just talking about it today. I was running departments by the time I was 22.
Heck, our daughter, I'm not gonna say what age she is, but she's out there. She's working and going to school.
Yeah.
And got accepted to college. And she's Gen Z, and she's in there. She's just like one day she just flip switch and she got it. And she's always at work, always early. Stays late if they need her to. And that's what I'm saying. Not all Gen Z are like this. I think they're just clinging to a couple bad examples that got circulated. And now all employers, I think the reason they're not hiring them isn't because the people themselves are bad. It's because they heard these horror stories online, and their assumption is that all Gen Z behaves that way, and that is not the case.
TikTok,
a lot do though.
TikTok was actually the double-edged sword. I think all those tech workers that were bragging about how they're getting paid 6 figures to basically fluff off all day and work at home and
I'm the chief vibes officer.
Yeah, I'm the vibes officer, and I'm taking a 3-hour lunch, and now I'm gonna have a spa day, and we're gonna go out drinking martinis and all shit. Yeah, that is what got a lot of you blacklisted from.
Now I can
companies.
tell you there are some like that. I'm not gonna say there aren't, but they take a job, they don't show up to training. They just don't. They don't show up. I know my daughter's job. Somebody got hired, and they didn't get fired for the longest time. They kept not coming in, but that's not just Gen Z. I've seen some younger millennials that just like I didn't want to go in, so I just didn't go.
Yeah,
and it's like what the fuck? You could do what? It's like you just didn't go. Did you call? No. Like oh my god.
Yeah, that's.
That's why they're firing everybody. You're not hiring them.
Right. And this is why we'll talk about this because this is this whole thing that they, I want to be a collaborator. I'm like, and you just blew the interview. Like if you tell, like, look, back and forth with ideas is fantastic, especially if you're, working a position that requires ideas. But also, I think there is an unearned ownership attitude when it comes to jobs with a lot of younger employees where again they walk into a company that's been around for years, they feel like it's my place now, bitches. I'm like, you moved into a warm seat.
I have
I'm the main character.
Yeah, character energy.
Yeah.
Well, Maya was hired right out of college. She immediately her team could tell she never had a full-time job because she wore flip-flops to work and often arrived at the office 10 minutes late. Spent team meetings quietly looking at her phone from time to time. Yeah, well, they're glued to their phone. But that was my husband, so that's not necessarily age. Her manager spent extra time coaching her on the fundamentals. So you're telling somebody who's already overwhelmed, who's already working really hard, they're managing everyone, that that 18 is the new 26. So like kindergarten, you're gonna have to spend all your time teaching them how to tie their shoes, wipe their ass, figure it out, all this stuff. You have to teach them all this crap because they don't even know not to wear flip-flops to work and show up in time. No manager has time to go train someone how to be an adult on top of the job.
And this is why they're hiring people over 40, over 50 now because they're like, look, you get
it's not complicated.
You get the assignment, right?
If you're Gen Z and you're listening to this, just guys, it's really not that hard. Show up on time. Heck, if you're early, even better. Don't wear flip-flops to your work. Then this is what they're saying. He's spending all the time. The manager is spending all the time working with her because one day she had a really good idea to solve an AI problem.
Okay. Let me. Okay. Oh, hold up. One day, the payoff happened. Maya burst into her manager's office with a big smile on her face. She told him she'd been thinking about a problem their team had been discussing for months. She had an idea on how they could use AI to solve that problem. That is the most like, hey, I have a solution, guys. Those writers that aren't performing, that cost us money, why don't we just replace them with ChatGPT? Oh my God, what a genius.
Well, honestly, this reminds me of those stupid, like remember those videos we'd watch back in the day, and they were even old then, about, like you talk to people like they're 5, and then and then one day their boss learned they were worth it because they could solve a problem. And that's what it kind of reminds me of. It sounds very staged. So basically, it was worth spending all the time training Maya and showing her, how to wear shoes, proper footwear to work, because one day she had a great idea. Or you both can be true. You can expect someone to show up and work on time. You can expect professionalism, and you could ask them if they have ideas, because I don't think that they're giving young people enough opportunities to present ideas that might be solutions. That being said, it's a group effort, and their idea might not be good. And then these young people have to realize if their idea isn't going to work, they're not just being mean to you because you're a young person.
And they'll go into a depression spiral, and then they'll go out to social media and they'll complain about it.
Here's my Snapchat. Oh my God, guys, like, my boss sucks. Why did I get fired a week later? I fucking don't know. I wonder why you got fired a week later.
I think it would be funny if it was like, hey, we have a problem. Yeah, there's too much overhead. Oh, thanks for that idea about AI, Maya. We're replacing you with ChatGPT as you told us to.
Number 2, does Gen Z know what ROI means? Gen Z ROI is well worth it. Does Gen Z know what ROI is? I mean, I'm assuming he's writing this for
LOL,
the
ROI.
Old peoples, old peoples out there, because I don't know if they, I mean, for those who don't know what it is, it's return on investment. But I don't know if a lot of them use that terminology.
People throw these around. They don't understand like anything. Like return on investment is if I pay you X number of dollars, you need to bring in a lot more than what I'm paying you. That's how it fucking works, Maya. And put some boots on.
So this next one's basically like in 2018, this guy graduated from MIT. Okay, had all these accolades and stuff. Then he got a job working for, a cruise line or General Motors. And he was working on some stuff. But he realized quickly that even if he had good ideas, it's going to be like an old traditional way that they're doing stuff. And you're supposed to keep your head down, your nose to the grindstone, and not give input because, they don't want to hear it. And if that's the case, okay, in this situation, if you're not listening to employees that have good ideas, that's your stupidity. Just because someone's new doesn't mean they have good ideas. They might not understand that their idea won't work, but it doesn't mean they don't have good ideas.
I could also argue that certain people are hired for their ideas and other people are hired to be that spoke in the wheel. And I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. The smaller company, you're a lot more nimble. People can wear many hats. If you're working for a company like General Motors, unless you were hired specifically to work in R&D or something, they don't give a shit what your ideas are.
Well, they're like basically his ideas died in the vine, and then basically he was told to keep his nose to the grindstone, and in 8 years or so, he would get a chance to be a leader. So he left the company and did something else. But the thing is, it's like, but you might not be ready. You might have good ideas. Doesn't mean you can lead a team. They're very different things. That's just it. Just because you have good ideas doesn't mean that you're the best one suited to be a manager.
Okay, here we go again. Well, okay, does this guy work for an AI company?
I don't know. He's very obsessed with AI.
Working hard and living his dream. Working with AI. Ooh, he's working with computers. He's doing a computer thing. He's practically a
SpongeBob with the rainbow AI.
I've actually found that Gen Z is more AI averse than some of the other generations. And it's a very boomer take to think that AI is going to solve every damn problem. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I know every person I spoke to, now again, I'm only speaking to through my lens of the Gen Z people I've talked to, they all are very anti-AI, very much so.
Oh my God. What is this is just the most nothing relationship and trust mean everything.
This one's good though. This one's good though. Many Gen Z team members enter their careers directly after college, some younger, as our daughter has, without having a full-time job before. Parents encourage them to focus on academics, but we all know that the classroom really resembles the office. That is true. 4 and 5 Gen Z job candidates go as far as to bring their parents with them to their interview.
Oh my God.
Don't do that. Don't bring your mom and dad to the interview. I mean, if they drive you there for some reason or whatever, and they're out in the car, okay, or they go somewhere else and come back to you, that's fine. I mean, but don't bring your parents into the interview. And then with that, they bring a new perspective on authority. Much like Generation X, some 35 years ago. Oh, let's hear them tell us what we are. They are suspicious of corporate leaders. Well, that's true. Political leaders, educational leaders, and religious leaders because of corruption and all that. Yes, Gen X was taught to question everything. Gen Z, for the most part, are the children of Gen X. So yeah, they're going to act like their mom and dad. They're going to question everything. Yeah. That's a common sense. So they said they have a different view of authority and then held by seasoned business veterans, by the boomers.
Okay, but here's my I get it. It's nice to have these ideals, it is. And in an ideal world, you'd be able to come into a company and it'd be like a family and everybody could just share ideas and sing Kumbaya around the boardroom table. It's not how it actually fucking works in reality. The reality is you work for a company, you get paid. If they're paying you for ideas, that's fantastic. I think people I'm gonna be honest. I think people put too much on their employer and on their job. Like you got at the end of the day, you can love your job. You can love your job. But everybody looks at their job as like the destination, right? Like this,
Yeah.
unless
and
it's
your
your
first jobs
company.
are going to be not your final destination.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and you're going to
It
work
might
your way
feel
up.
like the final destination.
It
No,
might
but it's not
like
your final
I wish I was freaking dead. No, but I don't understand. I mean, that's a lot of pressure to put on an employer. Like, I'm unhappy, and it's solely because of my job. I'm like, no, you're probably unhappy for other reasons. And I'm not saying your job doesn't suck. I want to be very clear. I'm not telling you your job doesn't suck. A lot of people have really sucky jobs, and sometimes you have to work shitty, sucky jobs to get to the good jobs. And I think a lot of younger people, especially, I know you hear a lot about it. I used to hear a lot about it when I was younger, and I hated when people would bring this up at the video. Like, you didn't pay your dues yet. Like, you have a lot of good ideas, but you're like 21, 22 years old. Get out in the real world and see how practical some of your ideas are.
Well, it's a practicality. It's not that they're good ideas. And I was going to mention that here. It's not that they're not good ideas. It's that they might not be practical. Okay, older generations. One, position gives you the right to influence. Yeah, because you're probably there for a reason. Younger generations believe connection gives you the right to influence. Okay, no. Then the first one, or back up, you went down too far. I was trying to read that. Okay. Number 2, older folks have wisdom. Yeah, usually. 2, older folks may be irrelevant. Now here's what I'm talking about. So you have this really flipping great idea. You think it's the best idea ever. And I'm not saying it's not a bad idea, but maybe your idea will not work as you're presenting it. And then the older people know because they've tried it before. They've been there. They've been this job for 15, 20 years. They know, we did something similar to this. It did not work. So while your idea is a good one, it's not a new one, but maybe we could work together and take some elements of what you have and then maybe make it work. They have wisdom because they've already lived it. They've already seen it. Maybe they're not trying to rain on your parade and make you feel bad. It's because they know it will not work for some reason. They have wisdom. They are not irrelevant. They have wisdom that you don't have. And in 10 years, when you try this shit, it doesn't go anywhere. You're going to tell the younger people, the Gen Alphas, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And they're going to say you're irrelevant because you're old. But
and
you know.
You say it can't happen. We're Gen X. We were the ones that questioned authority. We were the ones who were put in our place. We're the ones, we're going to go out and we're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then just like every other generation before us, you get into the real world. And yeah, you can make some change. You can make some impact. But you also come to realize that like the system is the system and you have to work within the system for the most part.
I mean, I agree that systems need to change.
Laws are the laws,
But like, I think that, everybody comes in fresh thinking they're going to change the world. And then they find out that the reason things are done the way they're done is because that's what works. Systems offer order to chaos. Yes and no, because you can have people that are just dicks trying to ruin everything. Systems must be disrupted to grow. Yes and no. We must listen to the man at the top, the older generation, younger generation. Top people should be listening to us. See that right there.
So
that's your problem.
I think what has happened in the last 10 years, and the reason that, especially in the pop culture space and the tech space, the reason that things have come off the rails, the reason that Gen Z is unhireable is that there were people going into companies with this attitude. This is why you're seeing all these IPs suddenly change for a modern audience, because they probably had Gen Z who don't have any connection to this stuff being like, you know what? Comics would be great if you just change the audience.
We love comics. Let's change everything about it.
Let's change everything about it. Listen to us or else we're going to go to social media and complain.
Comics are.
And because they're boomers, they don't understand that online outrage is a tempest in a teapot. So they're like, oh my God, they're going to get me fired from my job.
It's not just the comics. Like, I mean, anything like TV, movies. Yeah. Look how the
video games, all this stuff.
They hired a tabletop, et cetera, et cetera.
And it was millennials before Gen Z. I think, this has been going on for a while. It's not just Gen Z.
It's not new. It's just the flavor of the decade. Because like I said, 10 years ago, we were talking about millennials like this.
I was the same way. I was like a bull in a china shop when I was younger. And I went in and I wanted everything, well, if you just did it this way or that way. And there were some people I butted heads with. And now in hindsight, I'm looking like, oh my God, they were right. And I'm turning into them, but they were right. And it's like they were trying to spare me. They were trying to spare me the heartache and headache that they went through. Right.
But you took it as they were trying to like tell you what
they're
to do.
Trying to hold me back.
Yeah. And that's not what they're trying to do.
No.
Like I tell my kids when they get mad, I'm like, I'm not trying to stop you. I'm just trying to tell you this is what the likely outcome is. And I'm just trying to keep you from getting hurt. But if you want to go do it, knock yourself out. And guess what? 9 times out of 10. And the same with me. I used to be like, my mom doesn't know crap. And then later on, I was like, oh, hey, Mom. Yeah, you were right.
And that is wisdom. The wisdom comes with like knowing when to move and when to stay put.
You know,
and
like certain people said about animation, and they got shit on like crazy, and then it all came to pass as was said, because it's wisdom with
based
being
on
around.
experience,
Yes.
based on knowing
Well,
how
we don't know anything.
Yeah, how the world works. You know how the world works. You know enough people who've been doing this for a very long time, longer than I've been alive, actually. And you tend to look at things and you're like, yeah, okay, this is what's going to happen. You're going to do this. They're going to do that.
People keep saying, like, you know, you guys write so much. It's not about, you know, a magic ball. It's about just being around a long time and knowing what to look for.
It's about old. It's about being old.
So,
and seeing patterns. Yeah.
The next one, the top dog wins the debate. They believe the best idea wins the debate. Well, I honestly agree with you. The best idea should win the debate, even if somebody has more seniority. If your idea is better and it's more applicable, it should win. 6, the leader is a gatekeeper. Unfortunately, that's probably true. The leader is a guide. A good leader is a guide. A good leader knows how to lead a team and understand everybody's strengths and weaknesses, and then you'll use that and give everybody the chance to have an opinion, everybody a chance to be involved, everybody a chance to suggest ideas, but then delegate properly to people based on what they can and can't do, and make sure that everybody, you know, they're not so worried about you taking their job, because a lot of times that happens. I've been here for 10 years and you're going to take my job. So they gatekeep. But a real leader is somebody who knows how to manage properly. You shouldn't feel like you're never going to get anywhere. No one listens to you. You shouldn't feel like, you know, you're being kept down because they're afraid you might take their job. That's not a real leader.
Yeah. And I would also argue, though, if the leader's name is on the business.
Oh yeah, at the end of the day, if they own it, they own it.
Right. It's like who you know what I'm saying? Like the leader is hiring you.
At that point, if you don't feel respected, go someplace else.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're not gonna walk into, you know, the John Smith company, tell John Smith that he's full of shit, and even though his company's been around for, you know, 200 years, because, you know, his great grandpappy started nepotism. It, and they obviously know how to run a business, or that wouldn't be in business still. You're not going to come in and tell him to change everything. Well,
I was going to say, you can switch jobs, but don't jump to another job until you don't leave. Wait till you have another job lined up, then leave. Because in this market, even if a job sucks, you might have to put up with it for a while until you can find something else. But do not just leave a job and expect to find something else, because you are not going to right now. Just as a mom, I'm telling you, it sucks. But if you need the job, keep the job until you find something else, because this market is not good. And that's my mom advice for you.
This is so like you're gonna get stepped on by your own employees.
I know this is how you get walked all over. I know.
Yeah. Don't think control, think connect. Don't think inform, think interpret.
Wait, don't think
what,
inform.
Think why.
Wait, don't think inform, think interpret. So basically,
my truth, not the truth.
No, I was gonna say, well, that's true. Don't tell your employees they need to do something. You need to break it down and interpret to them like they're 5, so they understand that they're not supposed to do something.
I will break it down for you. I am paying you. Do the job I asked you to do, or there's the GD door.
Well, this next one,
what?
don't think what, think why. No,
My
if you're your
feelings.
boss, why do you have to think? Why do you have to figure out why they're not doing something? That's not your job.
This is my okay. So this is where, and I know people are probably getting all pissed at me and stuff, but I guarantee you, all the people over 35 are nodding their head in agreement with me. I am paying you to make my job easier. If you're making my job harder, I don't want you at my company.
Oh, it gets better. Don't think input, think outcome. But the next one, don't think tell, think ask. Oh, hell no. I'm sorry. Hell no, dude. No. You are full of shit. I'm not going to go to my employee and be like, oh my gosh, could you do your job? I'm going to be like, no, you need to get on this project. I've given you 2 warnings. Not, could you get around to it? You know, have you been a woman who you've asked your husband like 10 times to do something, and it's been like 5 weeks and they still haven't done it, and you just get effing tired of it, and then either blow up, or you turn around and you blow up and then it gets done, but then you're a nag, or you just do it yourself?
I would have no idea.
I mean, y'all, you ladies, well, there's not that many listen to this, but all you ladies know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
You don't pay me, you can't fire me.
Yeah. Well, I was like that. You try asking. Asking doesn't always work. If you're the boss and they're not doing it, you can try asking first. If they're not doing it, then you tell. I'm sorry. Don't tell, ask. Oh, hell no. And then don't think manage, think mentor. No. I mean, yes, be a mentor, but your job's to manage, not to be a mentor.
Yeah. I mean, this is some horse shit. Like
This is gonna be a long video. Sorry.
oh my God, it's already a long video. Yeah, it's not your job. I mean, that's the thing too. Again, back to people put too much on their place of employment. They want it to be your family, and they want it to be they want your bosses to be like your parents or your older siblings.
But you know
and
what?
I'm
They're
like,
not gonna
it's-
be.
No.
That's not. They're not. That's
you
not
go
their
home
job.
and you have a life. I'm not saying don't do well at your job. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you work to live, not live to work. If it's not your company, you go home at 5 o'clock or whatever, and you go spend time with your family and you go spend time with your friends. But when you're here, you got to do your damn job. And if you're going to get all pissy and put me on blast because I told you not to show up a half an hour late and to wear some proper damn shoes,
Yeah, that's just common courtesy.
we're just not going to get along, right?
And I mean, and it's like, I mean, heck, they say a lot about Gen X, but we knew what shoes to wear. Let's build bridges of relationship that can bear the weight of honest disclosure. Bullshit. I mean, yeah, build bridges of relationship. I don't think that's a bad idea, but you have to understand there has to be expectations set. Okay, as an educator, you have to set expectations, and expectations need to be, okay, you're going to do this, this, and this, and it needs to be clear, because if you don't make it clear, it is confusing, and then that's unfair and understandable, and people get confused. That being said, expectations need to be set. They don't have to be, they're not requests, they're expectations.
Yeah.
If they know clearly what they're supposed to do, and you're upfront and honest and say, here's what you're supposed to do, and you make, then they know they can do it. And then the outcome is, if you don't do it, you have this many warnings, and then you're out. Just be upfront. That's the best way to build the bridge.
God, this is just how to hire Gen Z. They're struggling with a diminishing number of job candidates. It's
True.
not. There's a lot of people out of work, but then again, it's a twofold problem, because there's a lot of people that are fresh out of college who don't want entry level positions. I think they should start at like middle management.
Like, yeah, right here. We're facing a blizzard. Young people don't want to take traditional entry level jobs.
Well, that's how it starts, bitches. I don't know what to tell you. I started working retail. I was sweeping floors. That's how it starts. You got to start somewhere. Now, I didn't, I wasn't a recent college grad when I was doing it, but I started working at 15. I was sweeping floors, and I was working at a computer warehouse. And then eventually they're like, hey, he's pretty good with these computers. Let's give him a shot, maybe putting some components. And next thing you know, I'm like building the computers and stuff.
I love this. Wait. A smaller population plus issues with addiction and incarceration reduces the employment pool.
What?
That's right. Poor Gen Zs, they're all addicted or in jail. So damn. This will be part of a larger new ice age. Within a decade, there will be more 65-year-olds than 16-year-olds in the U.S. Well, there is a declining birth rate, but you're like, what can we do? Make your organization's offerings more attractive. What, give them more shit when they don't show up wearing shoes that are proper? And you're supposed to treat them like they're kindergarten until they get around to aging up enough to know that what they're doing is dumb. Make their job the best first job to launch their career. Well, I mean, yeah, don't make it a hard job for anyone. No one's going to want to be there. But it's not that that's not their. All I'm hearing is you would be a nanny. That's all I'm hearing.
Exactly.
You're the manager. You're the boss. These Gen Zs. You have to be a nanny.
I am exhausted listening to this. I'm like, I'm not trying to be, and people are gonna be like, well, I'd never work for you. I'm like, well, we probably wouldn't get along then. If you have your back up about any of this, like the expectation is you go work for a job, you do the best job you can, try to get along with people as best you can. Everybody's trying to get along. You have company picnic, whatever, kumbaya, whatever, all that shit. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm paying you for a service. Your service is to make my life easier, right? I don't want to be your fucking nanny.
I'm sorry. Wait, it gets better. It gets better.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Gen Z seems to know it's a buyer's market when it comes to getting a job.
No.
And then we're going to talk about how they did an interview with Owen. And the interviewer, she asked Owen to describe a time when he faced a challenge and was proud of how he made it through. She was pleased with his response, and 3 days later asked him to give an offer to Owen. His response: are you kidding me? There's no way I'll work for that woman. She triggered my PTSD when she asked me to talk about a challenge of mine. I didn't feel psychologically safe. Well, then you know what, Owen? You don't have a fucking job.
You don't have the balls to work here, Owen.
How many people have PTSD or have things that they don't feel safe about or have things that cause them as trigger? You are responsible for your triggers. And if you can't even take an interview question that's a very fair interview question, what challenge were you proud of? Now, you could have picked a job-related one. You didn't have to pick one that was a personal trigger. You chose a trigger. So basically, I'm going to go to the, if I was her and I heard this, I would never hire Owen because he's going to go to the workplace and everything's going to be a microaggression and a trigger. And you know what? You are one of many employees. It is not all about you.
Yeah, and this is how we got here. This is how we got here.
Psychologically safe. We need a new approach at job interviews, especially for Gen Z who can't even come without their mommy. For many, it's a new experience, and employers can use this acronym to get acquainted. Oh, for fuck's sake. Perks. P for, this sounds like fucking elementary school. And I know, I'm a teacher. Perks. Preferences. What do you wish would be true about the job? Expectations. What are your assumptions about the work? So basically, you're letting them tell you what you're supposed to do to make it a preschool for them. Requirements. Any demands or deal breakers? Apparently asking a question about what challenges you faced is a deal breaker. K, keys to their heart. Oh, keys to their heart? Get to know them beyond their role as a worker. So now you have to be their best friend too. And S, salary, clarify, and possibly negotiate. Perks, guys. This is literally fucking preschool. Your acronym should be preschool with S standing for shit. This is ridiculous. Oh my God. And then it goes, not all Gen myths are true. Gen Z myths are true, which is true. It's very true. And I've said this. But this shit here, this article that's going out to employers is actually harmful, dumbass.
This is yeah.
If you're trying to say this is a stereotype and it's unfair stereotype and a lot of people don't fall into this category, which I don't believe a lot of you guys do. I think there's some of you that do and some of you don't. I don't think that this is the majority of you. From my experience. That being said, you're putting this out there in a publication where people that are hiring are going to see it and their takeaway is going to be what our takeaway is. Are you fucking kidding me that I have to give them the perks to be like and ask about their feelings before I can interview and hire them? They're going to be like, I'm not even going to interview them. And this dipshit and this article in Fast Company is actually harming Gen Z. As a mom, I'm pissed.
As an employer, I'm tired. I would never, it's too much work. I'm looking at this, and if I had to go through some rah-rah thing or whatever about, like, this is for middle managers. If you own a company or you've been in any position of, a boss position, whatever, I look at this and I'm like, this is exhausting. This is exhausting to have to try to kowtow to these people. It's easier to just replace them with a robot or hire somebody older who knows what the expectation is.
That's not fair because a lot of them aren't going to be.
I know that, but I can't I'm telling you, this is why they're not getting hired because when you got
this isn't helping.
Yeah, even if you've got the best, hardest worker out there, the fact that you've got these gurus out there telling you, like, okay, everybody under 25 needs to be handled with kid gloves.
They're acting like these are preschoolers. You use these acronyms. There's another acronym down here, but they're saying that you have to be that Gen Zs are fragile. You know what? Who is it? A lot of people are fragile. I can't tell you though. I told you the story before about our daughter. Her one teacher. She's cyber schooled. Her one teacher. Wasn't doing her job, frankly. And the school didn't understand AI. And so what they did was they were scanning people's reports and answers to see if AI was detected. In our daughter's case, it literally was detected because they asked you to answer a question. And it would be like, you restated the question, like, what is the, capital of the state? And that's the question. And you would say, the capital of the state is.
Right.
And then you repeat the question and then discuss it. She got flagged for AI because she repeated the question as you were taught to do. And then the first couple words of the second sentence, which was like the whatever, like the something, like the. That was what was flagged for AI. So our daughter got a 0 on it. Well, I questioned the principal. When I started, at first I didn't do anything, but when they said about, they're doing all stuff for AI, and I'm like, wait a minute. And they said, we're noticing a lot of kids are using AI. And I'm like, are they? Or are you just not evaluating it correctly? So I started asking some questions. Turns out the teacher did not double check because even if you're using AI to check her, you're supposed to double check it. Teacher did not double check her. They would have seen that it was not plagiarism. Instead, she immediately just flagged it as being plagiarism. Now, my point is, when I tried to talk to the teacher and to the principal in question, the teacher mostly, I was not being mean. But everything I said, the teacher took as a personal attack because she was a younger teacher. She would be Gen Z. And she was a younger teacher, and that her feelings were hurt because I was personally attacking her. I was not personally attacking her. I was calling her out on her bullshit. And I was doing it in an actually much nicer way than I normally would do. And she was upset. And I'm like, well, so is my daughter who just got accused of plagiarism and got a 0 when she didn't do it. It got reversed, obviously, because she didn't do anything that was plagiarism. But I was told that I was upsetting the teacher by being mean to her, by pointing out the fucking obvious, which is do your job. And
You're a teacher. You're a teacher.
I am a teacher, and you can vouch. You guys read it. I was very nice. I was very nice. It was to the point.
Very mild criticism. I got on the phone with the principal, and I was not as nice. I was like,
I was extremely nice. And then the
your
principal
teachers
was like,
don't know what the hell they're doing.
The teacher's upset. Her feelings are hurt. And I'm like, well, so is my daughter because she got accused of plagiarism and she did not do it. She doesn't even use. What we did was we ran it through Grammarly to see what, because we have Grammarly for our business. She didn't have it. And we ran it through and exactly flagged. And when I said to her about the first sentence and the second one, I'm like the first 2 words of the second sentence because I have Grammarly right in front of me. And I said, do you mean the word like the? And she just like, and she just didn't say anything. And I was mean and her feelings were hurt. You cannot be this way. I get it. I actually take these personally too. I get it. I understand it's hard to tell inflection. I really understand. That's why they have, tone tags and stuff. I get it. That being said, you're going to have a thicker skin and man or woman up here. Person up here. Put your big boy and girl depends, panties, Pampers, whatever the fuck you're wearing. By the way you're acting, it's like training pants. Put them on.
I love how for men with depends, right? I guess across the board, you go to the aisle. Not that I'm wearing them. Just want to be very clear. Not that I'm wearing them.
He does not wear depends. Can't confirm.
But you look in the aisle and they try to make it like younger, more attractive, physically fit people are the ones wearing like, then they try to make them sexy, like sexy depends. They're like the man ones
well,
now.
There are like physically attractive people who wear them because
but I'm talking they're like doing sexy depends. Like nobody's wearing, it's not sexy to wear depends, but they're like, look, you can.
Are you wearing your fancy depends tonight? Yes, I am.
Can barely tell that it's made of paper.
No, you can tell. So what is this other acronym down here? Here's another one. We have to wrap this up. It's been like
forever. Ass.
Wait, what's it supposed to be?
Allig.
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 Allig. Asking questions makes them feel valued. Okay, well that's just you that for anybody. Listen.
Where the fuck is the project that was due today?
Listen.
Owen.
Listening makes them feel heard. Gen Z like to have a voice. Well, these are things a good manager should do anyway. Empathize. I can't read. Empathizing makes them feel understood. And guide. This is when you can provide necessary feedback. Look, you should be doing this as a good manager anyway. This is just like anything you should do with everybody.
A female deer.
No, right? But this is something you should be doing anyway.
I sound like a hard ass. Actually, a lot of people like working with me. I'm okay to work with, but we're
actually really cool to work with because we're not ridiculous.
The expectations. I mean, this is like, how do we get to this place where everybody is like so offended by everything, whatever. I'm like, well, when your employees running your social media or your community or whatever thinks everything's a fucking microaggression and they think that directions are suggestions. It's like, you tell me, it's like, you're going too fast. I'm like, you're like speed limit's 55. I'm like, nah, it's a suggestion. Yeah, no, it's not. The cop's not going to buy it. Neither is your boss. Right.
No.
And there is
actually, it's funny. That's not new. My dad used to say it was suggestion too. And then when you said it, I started laughing because I'm like, that's what my dad says. And you would say about how my dad drives so fast. And you're like,
but that's the same kind of a thing, right? Being like, hey, I know my boss gave me a direct order. I need to go do this thing, but you're gonna be like, no, it's a suggestion.
Well, they need to ask you if you feel valued doing this thing. Then they have to listen to make sure that you have a voice in whether or not you want to do this thing. And then they have to empathize with you whether or not you want to do this thing. And then they have to guide you by saying, go do the fucking thing. At the end, do it anyway.
Yeah. I was just like, no, I'm going to tell you. And then if they ask for why, like somebody asked me why, like I say, hey, go do this. And they're like, well, why? I'll tell you why. I mean, I'm not going to be a dick about it. I'll be like, well, because we do it this way because of XYZ reason. If we're doing it this way, we're doing it this way for a reason because we learned through trial and error that.
And it's fair to ask why.
That's fine.
It's fair for the person to ask why, because they don't have years of experience. They don't see that. So that's a fair to ask to say why. That's fine. If someone says, why are we doing it this way? Like you said, that's fair. Look, fair. Guys, we're gonna have to wrap this up because it's like 45 minutes. But here's the end of the day. When you go to work, wear proper clothing and shoes for a job. It's not hard. There are videos. If it takes that, go on to TikTok, and I'm sure there's proper attire for work things on there.
How to put your shoes on to go to work like a big boy.
Understand, unless you're being hired for, I know, right? Unless you're being hired as a manager, you don't get to come in and dictate everything.
No.
You might have some great ideas, and a good team leader will listen to your ideas. If you don't have a good team leader, then find a different job, but not until you have one lined up. 3, understand that you don't get to go in there, and not everybody should. Your triggers aren't everybody's responsibility. If something triggers you, I mean, we're not talking like something severe, like a severe trigger.
Like, hey, you went through some trauma and we're going to make a bunch of rapey jokes or something.
Yeah, something like that, no, I'm not talking that. I'm talking like
work makes me anxious. I'm like, well, then why are you here?
Like someone,
deadlines make me
what's
anxious.
your educational experience? Oh, that triggered me because I didn't get as much education as other people. I feel bad about myself. Don't care. Also, don't bring your mommy and daddy to work. Don't bring them to the interview. They may drop you off because, I mean, sometimes you have an own vehicle because you're trying to find a job so you can get your own car and stuff. Get it. But you know what? They drop you off. You do your interview. You get on your phone. You have this nice little thing called a phone now. When we were younger, we didn't have that. You had to go to the payphone and say, hey, we used to have to collect call from, hey, Mom, my interview's over. Come get me. Yes or no? I'm like, it wasn't like this now. You text your mom and dad or whoever, your grandma, your best friend, whoever took you, and you say, hey, come get me now. I'm done. This is common sense. This is us trying to help you. Also, business owners understand not every Gen Z person is behaving this way.
No.
Do not go by this Fast Company article because I think it's actually doing more harm than good. They're trying to sell you a book that I think is actually turning you against Gen Z before you even talk to them, because this guy, what this person's spouting is idiocy. And it's making people be prejudiced against Gen Z before they even get a chance to have a chance.
Yeah. Just God, I don't know. I think everything will normalize eventually, but I think there's some Darwinism going on here. I think basically the good workers, the good employees, the people that have the good ideas, whatever, they will find their way. But right now, I think there's this massive overcorrection. And I think a lot of it, like I said at the very beginning, I think AI is being used as a scapegoat. But really, I think it's they don't want to hire Gen Z Americans, right? So they're going to outsource a robot or something, because I'm like, you don't have to coddle a robot.
Yeah, you do actually. You have to babysit AI all the time.
Well, yeah, but you don't have
to. At that point, you might as
tell
well
it to wear shoes because it doesn't have
true.
feet.
That's true.
That'd be funny though if the AI was so fragile. It's like, hey, yeah, you don't need to worry about shoes because you don't have any legs or feet or anything. It's like, how dare you?
That was a trigger.
Trigger. How dare you?
Physical form envy. Anyway, are we going to wrap this up? Sorry it was so long. I didn't realize how much idiocy was packed into this small article.
God. I can't. All right. So this to me though, if this is what they're teaching people in business, this explains how a lot of these people infiltrated and took over, because they were basically not allowed to tell. You were not allowed to tell them no.
Well, I think a lot of those people were like the younger millennials, but I think the younger millennials and the older Gen Zs are just about the same at this point. I mean, there's not much. It's like the Zennials were pretty much the older Gen X and then to the millennials, and that line's blurred. A lot of older millennials had the same experiences the tail end of Gen X did. So, let's wrap this up because this has gone very long. I apologize. Our other videos will not be this long. I'm sorry.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Check out more.clownfishtv.com, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.